Hello there, I'm Harry and this is my channel. For a long time now, I wanted to create a YouTube channel to serve as a diary and as a platform for me to rant about whatever I wanna rant, like some YouTubers do. So now, finally, I've got the time and courage to do so. First off, I'm a 20-ish-year-old Brazilian computer science student currently living in Minas Gerais, Brazil. So, English is not my main language, and I might speak it a little bit broken, but I'll try my best to make it not sound as horrible as it seems right now. Also, I will have a very intense Brazilian accent. Like, I myself don't hear this Brazilian accent, but my American friends say I do have it. I'm very sorry for that. And for this video, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience in the United States. Well, the idea of moving abroad, aka fleeing the country, had got to me since I was 14-year-old or something. Originally, I wanted to go to the United States, and then Japan. The idea was getting away from my family and starting anew, like resetting your save file in a video game. My parents didn't have the money to send me abroad though, so the idea just rested in my head for some time. I got through school, started college, and then this opportunity appeared, the Science Without Border Exchange program. When I got sure I could actually apply, I did just that, and some months later, my baggages were already packed. I felt extremely anxious. When me and my parents got to the airport, my mom even fainted. She actually fell down and hit her head on the ground really hard. But she woke up seconds later saying it didn't hurt and that she was okay. It was creepy. It was very bad. I was already feeling very anxious, and this happened, and I felt just like not leaving. But we left it off eventually, and I boarded the plane and got to the United States. My first thoughts were, everything is huge. The airports are huge, the statues are huge, even food portions are huge. Everything is enormous. Basically, I had eye orgasms all the time going around and about. Since here in Brazil, everything is just like packed together. You have a block with a bunch of stores and a bunch of buildings and a bunch of houses all packed together. In the United States, everything is so far apart. You need a car to go around and do whatever you want because it's like almost impossible to go and walk from your house to the shopping mall, to the supermarket, and going back unless you're living in a really big city, like a capital. Syracuse University was and is beautiful. I feel really special for having studied there for 1 year. Class formats were so different than in my university here in Brazil. I'm not sure if for the best or for the worst though, but it really was an experience. Some days after my arrival, the international students went to this welcome ceremony sort of thing, where I met other Brazilians and students from all around the world. There, they introduced us to the university layout, what to do in dangerous situations, yada yada yada. The majority of the presentation though was directed to F1 visa students. Some of the speakers even went and said things like F1 visas and J1 visas are different, but J1 visa holders aren't different from F1 visa holders, and etc. Which was extremely funny because it implied that there was a difference and both parties should differentiate themselves and, I don't know, segregate. There are like 200,000 F1 visa holders and 6 J1 visa holders, and of course I was one of the J1 students. Anyway, I lived in a dorm with 3 other Brazilian students. All of them were very different from me. The one that was the most polite and less weird was aggressively heterosexual and very extroverted. And what I mean by that is that he wanted to score with the girls. I'm not sure if he was a womanizer kind of person, but well, whatever. The other 2 were beta male types. One was very effeminate and sassy, the other was taciturn, and he's one of those people that know how to play the guitar. So naturally, he would play the guitar at like 2 a.m. in the morning. It was something very pleasant for me. Naturally, I befriended the effeminate one, because I thought, well, he must be nice since he is effeminate. I don't know. I'd rather talk to women. They seem less aggressive. You know, gay things. But as time passed, he showed how rude and sassy he was. And, I have nothing against effeminate gay guys, but if someone gets rude with me, I don't care anymore about the whole gays are nice movement and shit. Rude people are rude regardless of labels, and that's coming from me, another gay guy. I had a hard time finding Brazilian people I wanted to talk to because of interest clash and culture, basically. They refused to talk in English with me even though we were in the United States and I wanted to train my English. They simply talked in Portuguese with each other. They had a horrible English pronunciation, yet they didn't want to, test it out, train it. Also, the majority acted as if they were 12 years old in a summer camp. I'm the introverted kind of guy that would rather study, play video games in my free time, and then, once or twice a week hang out with someone. They were the kind of people that wanted to drink beer and die 24/7. I wanted to get food and eat it while listening to a podcast or just talking to someone. They would put a bunch of tables together and just scream at each other and laugh really obnoxiously loud. It was just like you entered the food court and you knew Brazilians were there. You could hear them. You knew what was going on. I'm not saying that Brazilians are bad people or anything. I'm just saying that I'd rather being stabbed in the heart than being seen with these very specific Brazilian people that say things like, I wanna suck your tits, but in Portuguese, to American girls, just to laugh it off while they don't understand what they're talking about. Aside all of this, I did become friends with two Brazilians at different points. We didn't do a lot together though. It was just people that I knew I could trust in and they knew they could trust in me. Oh, when am I supposed to send that report to our government? Or, I could talk to them to know things like that. The other Brazilians were kind of like, oh, I don't care. But whatever. I got to explore and force myself to talk to more people and get out of my comfort zone since I weren't all the time with Brazilians speaking in Portuguese. And I even spent New Year's Eve and some weeks in an American friend's house. In February, I met this guy who would eventually become my boyfriend later on, but I'll just leave the details to another video because the story is really complicated. Anyway, we basically started living together after that. In May, I got a job as an IT support in Detroit and I moved there in June by myself. The first month was tough. My parents and my boyfriend helped me though, and in July, my boyfriend actually moved in with me. It was bizarrely amazing. Although I had to work 8 hours a day. I don't think I'm fit for this kind of routine. I'm very lazy and people just absorb all my energy. If I had to work without talking to people every 5 minutes, I actually think I could work for 16 hours a day. But if I need to keep talking to someone, and if they're angry, and if I am just there to hear the ranting, it's bad. By the end of August, I packed my things and came back to Brazil, leaving my double bass, a gazillion clothes behind, and my boyfriend. From there on, my main objective has been graduating to get a diploma and either move out of my parents' house to live somewhere here in Brazil with my boyfriend or to go back to the United States and live with him there. 1 year later, he came down to Brazil and that's our current state. He is living here with me. I told him that he could choose between staying here and moving to the US, and obviously he chose moving to the US. Now it's a matter of time and, luck. It's really funny to spot the difference between both countries. They all have good points and bad points, but it is completely possible to adapt to any of these in my opinion. Talking about America, as in the United States and Brazil. My only problem is people's behavior. I've always felt more quiet and very easily annoyed by people here in Brazil. Going to the US for a year felt like a therapeutic slap on the face. A mix of being free from my family and not having to hear a racist, homophobic, misogynistic commentary every time I go out or turn on the radio or interact in any way with people in Brazil. It is funny how these three things, being racist, homophobic, misogynistic, are so imbued in our culture, and getting out of the country feels like getting out of a room full of farts. Brazil needs to get better regarding human rights and how they treat minorities, although the US is not exactly the golden standard in that regard. But, well, I guess that this is it for the first video. Thank you very much for watching.